have a bit of the bad project blues going on. I had sewed myself a bra and it did not fit at all. And in fact, it fit so badly that I just could not bring myself to undo it and try again right now. So I've stuffed it away in a cabinet where I don't have to look at it. It's one of those things where I've made like a bajillion mock-ups and I chose the one that fit best. And then when it came time to make the real thing, apparently the elastic maybe was what changed it, but it was way too small in the cups, comically too small. So I decided to get over the bad project blues to make something easy. So I'm going to make myself an 18th century Regency Empire shift. So rather than draft one, I'm just going to use the pattern that I already have. We will be using this slightly off-white colored linen. This is 100% linen, like 3.5 ounce from fabricstore.com. I always see it recommended in the costuming community as a good source for linen, and I do really like it. And I actually have a bunch of other colors to make things in, but for now, the shift. And you can tell I've had this folded up in my storage totes. It's pretty wrinkled, and I think I might have, I don't know what I was thinking when I taped this together, but it's pretty rough right there. So one of the changes that I'm making is I don't wear full-length dresses ever, so I didn't feel the need for a full-length shift. So shortened off the bottom hem. Even though this is the lengthening and shortening line, I've made sure it matches up on both of the front and the back. But I'm just doing 3 inches below this line, and I think that should have it ending up just about above my knees, which I think is more than long enough. The pattern layout is for 45 inches, and this fabric was 60 inches before washing. So I'm not entirely happy about this extra stuff here, but I don't know. I'll figure out something. And then the back piece, once I finish cutting out this, the back will go get cut out on the rest of the length on the fold.
Shifts, or chemises, were the main undergarment for much of European history. Nowadays, besides being necessary for a lot of historical costuming, they make good PJs and can be worn under clothes to act as a shirt. This pattern does use 5/8 inch seam allowances, which are larger than I prefer. I didn't fuss with adjusting them for this shift, but would do so with any future shifts using this pattern. First, the shoulder seams are stitched together. I'm aiming for done rather than historically accurate, which means as much machine stitching as possible. The excess seam allowance is trimmed down for felling on one edge. Then the longer edge is folded over it and flattened down. This will all be pressed before stitching down. I sewed the seams down as close to the folded edge as I could, and yes, I did it by machine. The center edges of the sleeve are chalked and then matched to the shoulder seams. The rest of the sleeve is pinned down. Then I marked the stitching points on the underarm gussets.
So this will be the sleeve, and then this square is the gusset. We'll be doing a seam along this side first, The dots here are the markings where to start and stop stitching. After this side's done, we'll be folding the other side of the sleeve. That will all be together, and we'll be doing this side next. And then once these two seams are done, you'll have this part free, and it will be attaching to the body, which it looks kind of strange right now, but it all makes sense once it's sewn. All right, so we've done the two seams to attach the gusset square to the sleeve. Now it's time to attach the last two sides to the body. So these will get pinned along like this and sewn between the blue dots for one side, and then the same for this side. So what we'll have is eventually something like that. All right, so all of the seams have been sewn. I just have to trim and iron and fell them all down. So that's what we'll be doing now. So I finished filling down all the seams. For the gusset, because it's a little bit more awkward, I did go ahead and fill that down by hand. The rest of the seams I machine stitched down. The filling stitch by hand kind of irritates my nerves in my left arm, so I can't do too much hand filling. So for the long seams, I did that all by machine. It's all nice and tidy. I could wear it either side. Now though, this ginormous neckline, I need to make a drawstring casing for it because it is ginormous. So the pattern wants us to cut 2 bias binding strips from our fabric. I've measured out, I need about 2 30-inch strips for the drawstring casing. I'm going to go ahead and rotary cut it on the mat because it'll be faster than scissors. Alright, the bias binding has been pinned onto the neckline, the center front here. The edges have been turned under 1/4 inch. This is where the openings will be for the drawstring to tighten it. So now we just need to stitch this down. Okay, we've stitched down the first layer of the casing. We're going to trim away the seam allowance and then press it over like so. The casing for the drawstring has been pressed under and pinned in place, so I just need to stitch along this lower edge here.
The raw edges of the sleeves and hem are turned under twice, pressed, and stitched down.
Alright, I'm all done with all of the sewing. The hem on the bottom's done, the sleeves are all turned under. I just need to run the drawstring for it. I'm going to use the lightest color of this hemp cord. It's about the right size and it's really strong, so it should work just fine. I'm really happy with how this shift turned out. The adjustable neckline, I thought it was going to be way too huge because it looked, well, I mean, it was bigger than my hips, which are the biggest part of my body, and it just fell off past them without gathering in the neckline. But with the gathers, it's really nice. I can adjust it. So say I want it a little lower in front, I can do that. I can tighten it up so it's higher in front. I do like that I made it tunic length. I should be able to tuck it into some like looser, if I were to make some Regency breeches, I could tuck them into there, and it'll fit nicely under most dresses and skirts without being too much bulk down around my knees. The linen is very cool. It is quite hot today. I can kind of feel the wind going right through it. So I think I want to make some summer dresses now out of linen. And I think my husband, who is a very hot person, might appreciate a nice linen men's shirt. Maybe some historical inspired ones.